Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the deep dive. Great to have you here on the F1 Blogs channel. I'm really excited, actually. For today's deep dive, we're going to explore a sport that, well, it always delivers, doesn't it? Formula One, drama, innovation, just remarkable stories. And today, our mission is pretty focused. We want to unpack some very strategic personnel moves happening right now at Aston Martin, and crucially, how these moves link up with one of F1's absolute legends. It's almost like a movie plot, you know? Brilliant engineers, legends themselves, coming back to the sport to reshape a team's future. It's genuinely fascinating stuff.
It really is. And to guide us, we've been looking at some excellent source material, specifically insights from a video called Aston Martin, Ya hace los fichajes que Newey ha pedido. That translates roughly to, Aston Martin is already making the signings Newey has asked for. And that's from the F1 Blogs channel right where you are now. So what we're doing in this deep dive is boiling down the key info from those discussions, giving you a shortcut, really, to understand where Aston Martin is heading, their big climb, but also, you know, the wider ripples across F1. It's about seeing the cause and effect playing out.
Okay, let's get into it then. The big news.
Headline stuff, yeah.
Absolutely. Aston Martin. They've just made two, really significant hires. We're talking JILSOT as the new director of simulation and vehicle modeling, and JOAQUINO VINO, who's coming in as head of aerodynamics. And it's worth saying, F1 Blogs was right on this news first. Our platform, F1 Blogs, it's consistently reliable, often breaking these stories, these hires. They don't feel random. They feel incredibly specific, targeted.
Oh, definitely. And what's so interesting is how directly they seem to answer Adrian Newey's recent comments, his public thoughts on Aston Martin. You remember, Newey was pretty blunt, wasn't he? He said their simulation tools were suboptimal.
Didn't mince words, no.
Not at all. He highlighted this persistent problem, a lack of correlation between the sim data and what the car actually did on track.
So what they saw in the computer wasn't matching reality. Big problem.
Huge problem. He even estimated, 2 years? To properly fix that fundamental issue.
2 years, yeah.
So when you see these two hires land, it's not just general recruitment. It feels like a direct action-reaction thing. Swift, precise moves. Addressing that exact weakness, Newey pointed out, it says a lot about their ambition, doesn't it? And their willingness to listen.
It really does. It feels less like casting a wide net and more like a surgical strike. Which naturally leads to the big question. Who are these guys? JILSOT and JOAQUINO VINO. Why are their names causing such a stir? Because, on paper, they look like potential game changers for Aston Martin's tech department. Let's start with JILSOT. Dive into his background a bit. Okay, JILSOT's career path. Honestly, it looks like the textbook definition of an F1 engineering star. We got a lot of this from his LinkedIn profile, which the F1 blog source highlighted. It's impressive. He first stepped into F1 with McLaren. Role was simulation leader. That was January 2004 to December 2006. Now here's where it gets really interesting, the connection. Adrian Newey, he was at McLaren for a chunk of that time too, left in 2005.
Right, so their paths crossed early on, their first collaboration, documented at least.
Exactly, a design visionary and a data maestro. Working together back then. Imagine the ideas flowing, even in the mid-2000s tech landscape.
Must have built some serious professional respect there, a shared language maybe. And that connection, that shared understanding, it didn't stop at McLaren. JILSOT moved over to Red Bull Racing, January 2007. Initially, he was head of simulation and analysis, held that until 2010, but then February 2010, a big promotion, chief simulation and analysis engineer.
Chief engineer.
And the timing. It's more than just interesting. His promotion lines up almost perfectly with the start of Red Bull's dominant era. The Vettel years.
Right when they started winning everything.
Pretty much. That era ended late 2013, him being head of simulation while they were basically unbeatable, winning championships year after year. It strongly suggests his work wasn't just important, it was fundamental to getting the most out of Newey's design.
So how did he actually do that? What was his team doing differently?
Well, from what we understand, his team really pushed multi-physics simulation. They got much better at modeling complex things like how tires behave under race loads, matching it to the virtual world. That's something Newey always chased. They could simulate tiny setup changes, suspension tweaks, aeroflow, and see real lap time games virtually. It meant Red Bull could arrive at tracks much better prepared, make quicker, smarter adjustments in practice. That was a huge advantage.
Makes sense. And then he moved on.
Yeah, after that incredible run, June 2014, he shifted. Moved to Red Bull Advanced Technologies, sort of the applied tech side beyond just F1. And that timing. It's roughly when Red Bull's massive dominance started to fade a bit. Makes his impact during that golden era seem even clearer in hindsight.
And then, like you said, the movie plot moment. He leaves the Red Bull world entirely.
Right. In 2017, a really significant move. He went to Apple as an engineering manager.
That's a different world altogether.
Isn't it just? Leaving the specialist high-pressure F1 bubble for a global tech giant. It really speaks volumes about his talent, doesn't it? Shows he's not just an F1 whiz, but a top-tier engineering mind. Full stop. Capable of working at the highest level anywhere. Very prestigious move.
Absolutely validates his abilities beyond just racing cars.
Exactly. So, framing his return now, 8 years later, back to F1, to Aston Martin. It does feel quite cinematic, a retired legend, if you like, coming back, and not just anywhere, but to fix the exact area Newey publicly called out.
The simulation department.
Precisely. It's that perfect narrative arc, the experienced master returning for a specific crucial challenge to guide a team forward.
So, okay, unpack that indispensability. Why JILSOT? Why now for Aston Martin? What makes him the perfect guy for this job, addressing that specific Newey critique? And could he bring anything unexpected, maybe from Apple, to help with that simulation correlation problem?
Okay, several key reasons. First, just his raw, proven expertise. This guy is a master. Simple as that. Look at the CV. McLaren when they were good, Red Bull when they were utterly dominant, and then succeeding at Apple. That's not just experience, that's elite-level success in different tough environments.
Proven winner, basically.
Absolutely. Second, and this is critical, his specific skills directly target the weakness Newey identified. Simulation correlation. It's his bread and butter. He's not just filling a slot. He's the targeted solution to a known major problem. He can turn that weakness into a strength.
And the Apple angle.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? While not F1, working at Apple, that exposes you to cutting-edge data management, maybe different ways of iterating quickly, user interface design for complex systems. Could he bring a fresh perspective on streamlining Aston's simulation workflows? Maybe improve how data flows, how engineers interact with the tools? It's definitely possible. A different way of thinking.
And the importance of simulation itself.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to ignore in today's F1, right?
Oh, completely. It's gone from being a useful tool to, well, absolutely non-negotiable foundation.
Because of the budget cap. Limited testing.
Exactly. You have tight financial rules, hardly any track testing allowed, so teams have to rely on simulation for almost everything. Every little design tweak, aero update, suspension change, it all gets hammered out in the virtual world first. If your sim isn't spot on, if the virtual car doesn't behave like the real car, you're flying blind.
Wasting money, wasting time.
And missing performance. Imagine designing a new floor in the sim. It looks great, predicts massive downforce. You build it, put it on the car.
And it doesn't work. Or worse, makes the car unpredictable.
Precisely. Unexpected balance shifts. Maybe the airflow stalls in a way the sim didn't show. Now you're spending precious practice time trying to fix a virtual mistake. You're already behind.
Nightmare scenario.
Totally. And it goes beyond just development. It hits you every single race weekend. Teams have these incredibly sophisticated sim rooms, often back at the factory, running constantly during a GP weekend.
With reserve drivers or dedicated sim drivers.
Usually, yeah. They spend hours, sometimes all night, dialing in the setup for that track, those conditions, those tires, tiny adjustments to brake bias, wing angles, ride height. Finding the sweet spot virtually to give the race drivers the best possible car.
So if the sim is weak,
the race drivers suffer. They waste practice time chasing setup issues that should have been solved virtually. Puts them on the back foot immediately. So JILSOT's role, it's fundamental. Not just for building a fast car, but for competing consistently, making sure their virtual world perfectly matches reality. He's the architect of that reality.
Okay, let's circle back to that Newey connection. Because JILSOT's career path, it tracks Newey's almost perfectly, doesn't it? McLaren, Red Bull, now Aston Martin. Is it just coincidence? Or is there something deeper, a Newey pull?
It's uncanny, isn't it? Let's lay it out again. Works with Newey at McLaren, goes to Red Bull, coincides with Newey in their dominant era, takes a break at Apple, then returns to F1 to join Newey at Aston Martin. Now look, there's no sort of official confirmation. No one's saying Newey banged on the table and said, "Get me JILSOT."
Right. Or maybe he just said, "We need the best simulation guy."
Exactly. Maybe he just identified the need and JILSOT was the obvious, undeniable choice. But the pattern across 3 of Newey's key teams, the F1 blog source used that phrase, white and in a bottle.
Meaning is pretty obvious, clear as day.
Basically, yeah. It implies the evidence is so strong you can't really argue with it. It would be an absolutely staggering coincidence for his career to mirror Newey's so closely without a deep professional link.
Suggests a shared philosophy. Mutual respect.
You'd have to assume so. A profound professional relationship built on trust, success, and probably a shared view on how to achieve engineering excellence in F1. It's too much alignment to ignore.
Okay, fascinating stuff on JILSOT. Let's shift focus now to the other major signing. JOAQUINO VINO,
Yep.
the new head of Aerodynamics. The absolute core of F1 performance, really.
Yep.
Making the car stick to the road, slip through the air. His background, again sourced via F1 blogs from LinkedIn, sounds equally impressive. JOAQUINO VINO's journey. It's another story of rising right to the very top, isn't it?
It really is. A steady, determined climb.
He started out honing his skills as an aerodynamicist, Toyota first, late 2007 to late 2009.
Good grounding, even if Toyota weren't dominant. Learning the fundamentals.
Then a brief stop at Red Bull in 2010, January to July, so maybe a little exposure to the NEWEY'S way there too.
Potentially, yeah. Even a short stint would be insightful.
Followed by Renault, August 2010 to January 2012. As an aerodynamicist, but also, interestingly, a CFD specialist.
CFD. Computational fluid dynamics. Using computers to model airflow. Absolutely crucial in modern air design. Visualizing the invisible.
So these early roles built that deep specialist knowledge base, ready for the next big step.
And that next step was huge. This is where his career just takes off, almost perfectly mirroring a team's rise to legendary status. He joined Mercedes January 2012 as a senior aerodynamicist. And within Mercedes, he started climbing fast, really fast, showing his value. Just 2 years later, January 2014, he's promoted. Aerodynamics group leader, a really influential position.
Group leader in 2014.
Yeah. His rise continued. February 2018, principal aerodynamicist. Then, October 2022, he reaches the top spot. Chief aerodynamicist.
Chief aerodynamicist at Mercedes. Wow.
And again, just like with JILSOT, look at the timing. His promotion to lead the aero group. January 2014, what happened right then?
The start of the Mercedes era. The hybrid dominance.
Precisely. From 2014 onwards, Mercedes racks up, 7 straight drivers' titles, 8 constructors' titles, an absolutely unprecedented run.
And he was leading the aero department through that.
Exactly. His team was pushing the boundaries, mastering complex aero concepts, front-wing interactions, underfloor airflow, brake duct aero, packaging efficiency, everything. Mercedes cars in that era were known for being incredibly efficient and stable. That doesn't just happen. His leadership era was absolutely central to that success.
So he was there for the whole dominant period. When did he leave Mercedes?
He left in November 2024, then had his gardening leave, that standard F1 non-compete period.
Right, keeping the secrets safe for a bit.
Essentially, yes. And after that finished, he officially joined Aston Martin, April this year. So his CV places him right at the heart of one of F1's most successful ever periods. A massive testament to his skill, his influence, his understanding of championship-winning aero.
Okay, when you put JILSOT's and JOAQUINO VINO's timelines side by side, it's genuinely striking, isn't it, that parallel? JILSOT gets promoted to chief sim engineer at Red Bull in 2010. Boom, Red Bull dominance starts. He leaves in 2014, dominance fades. JOAQUINO VINO gets promoted to lead Mercedes Aero in 2014. Boom, Mercedes dominance starts.
It's uncanny, right? The alignment is just remarkable.
But as you said, F1 success is complex. It's not just them, surely.
No, absolutely not. And that's the crucial nuance. You can't pin years of dominance solely on 1 or 2 engineers, however brilliant. Mercedes had that incredible power unit advantage in the early hybrid era. Remember, that was massive.
True. The engine played a huge part.
And Red Bull's initial success, driven heavily by NEWEY'S overall genius, pushing aero boundaries like no one else. But within those dominant teams, JILSOT and VINO weren't just, cogs in the machine. They were leading critical departments. Simulation and aerodynamics, absolutely fundamental areas.
Key pieces of the puzzle.
Exactly. Their promotions coincided precisely with their teams hitting their peak. It strongly suggests their leadership and input were central to building and refining those winning cars. They translated the big picture vision into on-track reality through their specific expertise. Hugely valuable contributions.
And the fact that both of them are already working at Aston Martin, that's quite a statement, isn't it? No waiting around.
It's a massive advantage. Shows real intent. JILSOT coming from Apple meant no gardening leave. He could just start, bring his skill straight in.
No F1 secrets to worry about transferring immediately.
Right. And JOAQUINO VINO. He did his time, completed his gardening leave from Mercedes after leaving last November, and started with Aston in April. So they're not just names on a future org chart. They're in the factory, contributing now.
Making an immediate impact.
You'd have to think so. Their knowledge, their leadership, it's being felt right away. Accelerating development, refining methods, shaping things for Well, for the rest of this season and definitely for next year's car, it's immediate reinforcement.
And we're already hearing whispers, or more than whispers, about their impact internally. The F1 blog source mentioned comments from Andy Caldwell at Aston Martin.
Yes, Cowell, a key figure there. His observations are really telling. Gives us a peek behind the curtain. He noted a real, tangible shift. Specifically mentioned how JILSOT and VINO interacting with NEWEY and the existing team has changed things. He said, and this is quite powerful, the energy and determination are much greater.
Wow. So it's not just technical skill, it's boosting morale, too.
Seems like it. Imagine the lift for everyone there, seeing these proven winners arrive, working under NEWEY. Caldwell also stressed NEWEY's wider influence. He said something like, it's incredible how key signings like ADRIAN NEWEY contribute to everything because it helps drive everyone.
A ripple effect.
Exactly. NEWEY doesn't just attract talent, he galvanizes the whole place, lifts everyone's game, increases ambition, sharpens focus. It's a transformative effect, creates this positive cycle.
That sounds incredibly familiar. It really echoes what Pedro Martinez de la Rosa told F1 blogs in a previous interview.
Yeah.
About NEWEY's gravitational pull.
It does, doesn't it? De La Rosa's comments almost predicted what Caldwell is seeing now. Pedro talked about a total change at Aston Martin just from the rumor of NEWEY joining. Said there was this sudden surge of top talent wanting in.
From rival teams, universities.
Both, apparently. People desperate to work with NEWEY, learn from him, accelerate their careers. They see it as a unique opportunity. De La Rosa admitted they hadn't fully anticipated that scale of talent influx, but said it was now a very real, very positive thing for the team.
A testament to NEWEY's legendary status.
Absolutely. People want to be around that kind of genius, that kind of winning environment he creates just by being there.
Okay, so let's try and crystallize this NEWEY effect in practice. What does it actually look like day to day at Aston Martin based on these hires?
Well, it looks like a very clear, practical, strategic process now. It's not theory anymore. Step 1. NEWEY, with his incredible insight, identifies a key weakness, like the simulation correlation issue. Step 2. Aston Martin reacts decisively. They don't just hire someone, they go out and get the best. Someone like JILSOT, who's not only world-class, but has also won championships with NEWEY before.
Right, they know he fits.
Exactly. Or NEWEY needs top aero talent to bolster the team. They target and secure JOAQUINO VINO, fresh from leading the aero department of a team that dominated for a decade. So the NEWEY effect is this: identifying needs with precision, recruiting the absolute elite to fill those needs, boosting internal morale, and fundamentally changing the team's technical capability and talent pool.
It's assembling the dream team piece by piece.
Pretty much. Driven by NEWEY's vision and Stroll's willingness to make it happen. It feels like a real culture shift towards prioritizing elite technical skill above everything.
Which brings us to maybe the most critical lesson in F1, doesn't it? Trusting the experts. If you want to win, consistently win, you have to listen to and empower the people who genuinely know how to do it, especially someone like ADRIAN NEWEY.
Absolutely fundamental, and good leadership recognizes that. Think back, historically, Flavio Briatore.
Ah, Flavio. Controversial, but successful.
Exactly. Not an engineer himself, not technically minded in that way, but his genius was management, especially personnel. Why was Renault so successful under him? Because he hired brilliant technical people, Simons, Braun, and then he trusted them completely.
He let the experts do their job.
Precisely. He understood delegation, trusted their specialist knowledge, created an environment where they could execute without interference or politics getting in the way. He enabled their success.
And it feels like Lawrence Stroll is taking a page from that book, empowering NEWEY.
All the signs point that way, don't they? If ADRIAN NEWEY, the guy with decades of championship-winning cars on his CV, says, I need this specific engineer for simulation, or we need this level of aero expertise, Stroll seems ready to move mountains, commit the resources, make it happen. That shows enormous trust in NEWEY's vision and judgment.
He's backing his star signing.
Fully. Providing the tools, the people that NEWEY says are essential, that top-down belief and empowerment, that's how you build a truly formidable team.
And the F1 blog source drew a contrast there, using Ferrari as a kind of cautionary tale.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast sometimes. Ferrari, for all their history and passion, often get pointed to as an example of what happens when trust and technical expertise perhaps wavers. The source mentioned recurring internal power struggles, politics, maybe inconsistency in backing the technical direction, leading to, well, years without a championship. That phrase stumbling around was used.
Ouch, but it highlights the difference.
It really does. Compare that perception with Aston Martin right now. Clear plan, seems unhindered, driven by a recognized genius, backed fully by ownership willing to invest in that vision. The message seems clear. Trust your technical leaders, especially when they're of NEWEY'S stature. It's fundamental. Without that consistent trust, even giants can struggle.
So, wrapping this segment up, Aston Martin. Definitely a team under construction, as you say. But they're moving fast, moving decisively, listening to NEWEY, leveraging his incredible power to attract the best talent out there.
That's the picture, yes. We don't know exactly when they'll challenge for titles, obviously. F1 is too complex for guarantees. But these hires, driven by NEWEY, backed by Stroll, they're undoubtedly accelerating Aston Martin's journey. Massively. They're not just adding staff. They're assembling the core of a potential championship-winning technical group, laying the foundations with serious precision, creating that environment for genius to work.
It's been a really fascinating deep dive, hasn't it? Getting under the skin of Aston Martin's strategy, these big technical moves, seeing how JILSOT and JOAQUINO aren't just new hires, but seem like absolutely pivotal pieces, chosen specifically within this wider NEWEY effect.
Absolutely. And digging into the F1 blog's source material really showed it's not just random signings. It's a clear strategy, built on trust, built on attracting the absolute elite. It feels like watching a blueprint for success being drawn up and executed right in front of us. A real masterclass in team building.
Okay, so as we finish up, let's leave you, our listener, with something to think about. Bit of a provocative thought, maybe. Given this incredible concentration of proven talent, JILSOT, VINO, all working under NEWEY, what specific improvements do you expect to see from Aston Martin on track? And, maybe more interestingly, how quickly? How soon could they be genuinely fighting for wins, maybe even a championship?
And think beyond just the obvious tech gains in Seminaro. What about the unseen stuff? The cultural shift? How does having these top minds, these demanding standards, ripple through the entire team? The junior engineers, the mechanics, the strategists? Does it lift everyone? What does this mean for Aston Martin becoming a truly dominant force long-term, not just a flash in the pan? Could we see even more radical designs coming out of Silverstone because of this brain trust? Lots to ponder.
Definitely food for thought. Well, a huge thank you for joining us for this detailed analysis of the news shaking up the F1 paddock. Remember, this deep dive was brought to you right here on the F1 Blogs channel. If you enjoyed this and want more like it, please do subscribe to the F1 Blogs channel. You'll get more in-depth discussion, expert analysis, and really, shortcuts to staying properly informed about this amazing world of Formula One. Until the next deep dive, thanks for listening, take care, and keep learning.